Two new movies on Netflix, both dealing with family and maybe a rebellious teenage daughter and some daughter and mommy issues. We're going to talk about Yes Day, starring Jennifer Garner, and Moxie, directed by and co starring Amy Poehler. Hey everybody, Dan here. Welcome to Dan Reviews It, and this is a spoiler-free review for two recent movies on Netflix, Yes Day and Moxie. Like I said, I think they're both sort of family movies in their own way. Yes Day certainly for the whole family. Younger kiddos can enjoy that one as well. It's rated PG. Moxie certainly for older children, but I think the whole family can probably watch that as well if they're of age. It is rated PG-13. So let's start first with Yes Day because that is the one that just dropped yesterday on Netflix. And this is Jennifer Garner, like I mentioned. She plays the mother here. And our good buddy Edgar Ramirez plays the dad. We've seen him in many things. And then the three kids. You always have to have three children, apparently, in these movies. And so you've got an older daughter who is very angsty and has a lot of issues with the parenting style of her mother lately. And then as well, two younger kids, one boy and one girl. So the basic premise of this movie is that the parents were a lot of fun back in the day and used to be more adventurous in their single lives. But then once they got married, had the kids, things started to settle down. And of course, they had to start saying no to a lot of things in order to protect their children. And so they go to a parent-teacher conference at school and find out that the kids are all sort of trash talking, specifically the mom, but I guess sort of both the parents, but more the mom, the not fun one. And so they meet this coach in the cafeteria played by Nat Faxon, and he suggests having a yes day, which is where for 24 hours the parents say yes to everything, within reason, no illegal stuff, nobody gets hurt, But essentially, let's be fun and say yes. So the daughter really wants to go to this concert that her parents do not want her to go to, although the dad didn't really care. But, mom's got to put the hammer down. And so as part of the yes day, they sort of make a bet that if mom makes it through the whole day and still says yes, then she will go to the concert with the daughter. So, okay, you can still go to the concert, but I'm going with you, not your friends. And then if she loses the bet, then the daughter goes with her buddies to this concert. So anyway, that's the basic premise. This is, like I said, a very family-friendly film, but as many family-friendly films are, it is also quite corny in places and a bit silly. And at various times, the people in the movie seem to be having more fun than us watching it. So this is directed by Miguel Artila, I want to say. And he, made a name for himself way back when he directed The Good Girl with Jennifer Aniston, which was like a very highly acclaimed movie. Cedar Rapids, which is a fun movie with Ed Helms. And even, going back further than The Good Girl, he directed episodes of Freaks and Geeks and 6 Feet Under. And so this guy, really was making a name for himself. And then he directed Alexander and the No Good, Terrible, Horrible, Bad Day movie, whatever, from back in 2014, also starring Jennifer Garner. So I guess, the two of them kind of got along well. And he said, I have another family picture for you. It's not Disney, but it's called Yes Day. Let's give it a go here. The problem is, and I love Jennifer Garner. I think she is so adorable and so sweet, and she has played these great characters for a long time, including mother characters. She was a wonderful mom in Love, Simon. But the problem is she's just not that funny. And, look, not everybody has to be funny. I don't think Julia Roberts is very funny either, when it comes down to it. But she's a great actress. So it's not necessarily a slight on Jennifer Garner as a performer or as a person. But in a comedy like this where, the kids are unknowns. So you really have to have the adults bringing all of the humor. Some of the examples that this movie specifically reminded me of was Uncle Buck, which, of course, John Candy brings all the funny in that, although Macaulay Culkin is very, very funny as well. But, that movie was based around sort of John Candy's persona and him being very funny. Another example, Parental Guidance, which wasn't a great movie, but Billy Crystal was the dad. I feel like Bette Midler was the mom. But, these are funny people. Both of these actors. I like Edgar Ramirez as well, but they're just not all that funny. I mean, he's known best maybe for the Johnny Versace American Crime Story, TV show, but he was also in like Zero Dark 30. I mean, like he's, the Bourne Ultimatum. He's not known for his comedy either. And so when we're basing the comedy around just the situations, well, look, we've been cooped up in COVID for a year. So the idea of, watching a family go have this, Kool-Aid, paintball type thing with, a whole bunch of people and running around and having, what looks like pretty fun, I guess. It's like, well, I want to do that with my family too, and I can't because of COVID. Like, no matter who's saying yes, logic says no. So it's like that was a little bit annoying to watch. And then to top it all off, the parents just aren't funny. There's some good lessons here, obviously. There usually are with these types of movies. And the end, although it's a bit schmaltzy, certainly could tug at the heartstrings, perhaps. It didn't particularly work for me that well, but I could see how it might. Unfortunately, the funniest part of this movie is only in one scene, and that's Fortune Feimster. She plays a paramedic, and she's hilarious. I always like seeing her in things lately. But, overall, this was just a very, very middling movie. It is better than some recent family films. I think it was better than the John Cena movie, Playing with Fire. Again, 3 little kids there. One of them was the teenager who, cracking wise or whatever. This is like the boilerplate movie kind of thing. It's just all stamped with the classic tropes of all of these types of movies. It's okay. Maybe if you're real bored and you want to give the kids something new to watch. I think kids might enjoy it. I don't think it's very good for parents, to be honest. I think they'll be bored with it, especially since people my age and such have been through a lot of these types of movies already and much, much better done. So I'm going to leave Yes Day with a C. Next, we're going to talk about Moxie, and this is a new movie directed by Amy Poehler. I wasn't sure if it was her first movie directed or not, but she actually did a movie a couple years back about taking a trip with her buddies in the wine country, also for Netflix. But this one, she is, taking the helm and not such a star of. She was more of, that was like an ensemble movie. I forget what it was called. It was like Napa Valley or something like that. Or I think it might have just been called Wine Country. But anyway, this is more actually about the daughter, played by Hadley Robinson, and some of her buddies. There's a whole list of people that we don't really know in this movie. I mean, the only person I kind of know because of his famous father is Patrick Schwarzenegger. He is Mitchell, the football star. And I've actually seen him in a couple of different things, but more I know him because he's the son of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's in it. And then as for the adults, you have Amy Poehler, like I said, she plays Vivian's mom, and then Ike Barinholtz plays the teacher, and Marcia Gay Harden plays the principal. Essentially, this movie is a feminist sort of anthem type movie. This new girl comes to the school who happens to be black, and she is getting harassed by the star quarterback, Mitchell. And I'm not sure how much it has to do with her ethnicity, as much as it does that she's the new girl. But I think there's definitely part of that as well. It's never like overt, like he's not calling her the N-word or anything. But I think it's just more that he's a D-bag to everybody, and she's the new girl, and she stood up for herself at the first day of class. Because she was like, why aren't we reading more varied artists or authors rather than all these old white men? He didn't really like that, so whatever. So anyway, Vivian, Amy Poehler's daughter, she is, a bit timid. She's had the same best friend for, 15 years, but she is sort of blossoming into a champion in her own mind for feminism. And, her mom, Amy Poehler, was, a bit of a rebel back in her day. They had this big song that they would sing together, Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill. And so Vivian sort of is taking up that torch and secretly prints a zine called Moxie that is getting everybody hyped up about, being a feminist and, things are unfair at this school. There's a double standard for girls and boys. And, as you can imagine, the idea sort of gets bigger than Vivian and spirals maybe a little bit out of control. So this movie, I didn't know what to expect. This is one of these movies where I literally knew zero about it before I went in. I didn't watch a trailer. I tend to not do that. I like to not know trailers. I like to not know what a movie's about, but at least usually I'll read like the Netflix description. I just saw Amy Poehler was in it and it was new. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to watch this. So wasn't sure what to think. This movie has a lot of redeeming values, I think. First of all, this is the exact kind of movie that I feel like we need right now because it is certainly about a lot of these, feminist ideas and more than feminism. Like I said earlier, maybe a little bit about race relations as well is involved here too. But even though the whole movie is sort of based around this, it doesn't necessarily get shoved down our throats. And I think it's an interesting line because it could easily have been this like really preachy movie. And the movie itself was, it certainly made its points. And I think if you are not on the side of that, you're going to be like, oh, F this, propaganda movie. But to me, it wasn't like that. It was, I think, more about the personalities within the Moxie group. And, Vivian making her own mistakes, maybe, having a falling out with her best friend because she's fallen in with these new girls who are all for the movement and her, her best friend maybe isn't so on board. But there's some racial stuff that comes up with her too because she's an Asian girl and she comes from this very strict family where, grades are everything and da-da-da-da-da. And Vivian can't understand that. And they do actually have a really nice heart-to-heart in the movie about that. So yes, there's definitely some race things, but that's the thing. It's like nothing's hitting you over the head. So even the feminist stuff, it's more like, okay, well, schools do kind of have a double standard for certain things. Girls aren't allowed to dress as provocatively because they're going to, distract the boys. It's like that's something that's been going on forever, certainly since I was in school, and it still does today. I know that it does because I have so many friends that are teachers. So I think it gets a lot of that stuff right. The downfall of the movie is that it is a little on the nose with some of the things, and a lot of the moments are fairly telegraphed a bit out. I mean, you could see the foreshadowing, for many scenes previous to some of the things that happen in this movie. But in terms of Poehler's directing, I think it's pretty competent, to be honest. I mean, obviously she's been around the film industry a long time, and I always like somebody who's sort of more mature in the industry who wants to take on a directing job. I mean, she's been in the industry for 20-some years. She started with Upright Citizens Brigade on Comedy Central, obviously SNL for a long time, and then, the movie and TV career after that. So, I mean, she may have directed some episodes of Parks and Rec. I don't really know. But, I mean, in terms of feature films. And I appreciate that. I think she got that down well. Unfortunately, she was also in Mean Girls, which is, in my mind, the gold standard for high school movies. I mean, Breakfast Club too, but in terms of recent generations, Mean Girls is the gold standard, and Amy Poehler was in that. She obviously watched people work and maybe lifted a few ideas from that movie. So some of the scenes maybe are not that original in terms of like the directing aspect of it, but at the same time, I think we see so many sort of rotten movies where they really want you to experience the high school life. And I think this actually gets a lot of things right that most movies miss. There's certainly examples of ones that do it right. Mean Girls is one of them. Recently, The Edge of 17 is certainly one of them too. I thought that was a great movie. But, Vivian has a lot of epiphanies in this movie about herself and about, okay, what do I really want to say as the head of Moxie? And what do I really want to say as this white girl that maybe didn't recognize my privilege, And it's interesting that they filmed this movie before COVID, before all the barriers really started breaking open, with some heavy themes in this country of race relations and even down to school relations, really. So I thought that was interesting. But overall, I think this is a pretty good movie. And the lead gal, Vivian, I don't know if I know her from anything. Hadley Robinson. Let's see. All right, she had a small role in Little Women. I'm thinking of ending things I didn't watch. And then she was in Fosse Verdon on television, that miniseries. But that's really it. So I thought she did a very good job. And she actually, they cast somebody that maybe doesn't look exactly like Amy Poehler, but you can see that they're related. And I think sometimes people miss the mark a little bit on that too. But anyway, I'm gonna leave. I veer sort of between a B or a B plus, but I'll give Moxie the benefit of the doubt because I think it is doing a lot of things very well, even if it is a little bit obvious in some of its moves as well. So I'm going to leave Moxie with a B plus. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you for watching. I've got a lot of other movie reviews to get to. The Oscar nominations coming out soon, so I'm going to tackle my final list of those 2020 movies I've been sort of putting off because I wanted to wait, see if any of them got Oscar nominations, Hillbilly Elegy and Mank and some of those. So we'll see. If not, I'll still put the reviews up just to have them up, but we'll see what happens there. So thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next time.